The ocean. A vast area with a world full of beauty and mystery. Sometimes dangerous and unforgiving. Other times beautiful and elegant. What better place to experience this wonder than the big island of Hawaii? So join me on an adventure to discover what the average person can experience off the coast of Kona. Welcome to the big island of Hawaii. A place with lava rock and lush greens, bright blue water, and a laid-back lifestyle. But we're here to see what awaits us just offshore of this island, and our sights will be set off the Kona coastline. So grab your sense of adventure, because the ocean has a show to put on. Let's get started. Our journey begins in Kailua-Kona Bay, right next to the Captain Cook Monument. This is a common place on the Big Island to find Hawaiian spinner dolphins. They like to come into this bay after a long night out deeper in the ocean hunting and feeding. While waiting for the dolphins to show up, this bay has a beautiful coral reef to explore. An amazing part of the ocean is its many diverse ecosystems, and coral reefs are a big one. From the coral itself to all the colorful fish swimming around, these ecosystems are home to entire communities of living organisms. The reef by the Captain Cook Monument is very interesting because it seems to just drop off into the blue abyss below. During our time in Kailua-Kona Bay, we were able to spot these two interesting jellyfish, but despite hours of searching, the spinner dolphins were nowhere to be found. Something you learn out on the water is that you can't plan when you're going to encounter marine life. It just has to happen naturally. You see, the ocean is full of life, but due to its size, it can sometimes feel empty. But that just adds to the mystery of the ocean. Our next stops bring us to Pololu Beach and Hapuna Beach. The hike down from the Pololu lookout provides you with many stunning views of the coastline and ends at the beautiful Pololu Black Sand Beach. Now, Hapuna Beach may not have the same views of Pololu, but it is a nice sandy beach with those pretty blue waters everyone thinks about when they think of Hawaii. Hapuna Beach also happens to be where we found this chill little sea turtle. As waves pushed us together, this little guy really didn't seem to mind my company. Now, beaches and shallow reefs are cool, but if you want to encounter some of the larger inhabitants of the ocean, you have to venture out into the deep blue, searching for anything you can find, and that's exactly where we're going. Welcome to the open ocean. We're sitting a few miles off the Kona coastline to see what marine life we can interact with. I'll be honest, as we traveled out here, skipping across the seemingly endless blue at high speed in anticipation of what the ocean had in store for us today, our search wasn't finding much, and we had covered a lot of ground. Well, water. You see, like I said before, the ocean is so big and mysterious that it can sometimes feel empty. That is, until you find something. We had discovered a pod of pilot whales, one of the largest members of the dolphin family, and now the only thing left to do was jump in. From this point, the mission is to kick our way out to them and watch as they swim right by us. It really is interesting how things just appear in the ocean. One moment, you'll be swimming through more seemingly empty water. The next, you'll be looking at something amazing. Watching the pilot whales disappear back into the blue, you start to reflect on how incredible it was to watch them while you're in their environment. Back on the search for sea life, we're looking for the ocean's most feared predator, sharks. The waters off the Kona coast are home to many different kinds of sharks, like tiger sharks, oceanic white-tip sharks, and hammerhead sharks. The problem with finding these guys, though, is that they don't have to come to the surface. So our next stops will be 2 offshore fish farms sharks like to hang around looking for something to eat. Arriving at the first fish farm, still energized from our pilot whale encounter, you could feel the presence of sharks in the water. But we couldn't find any here. That's okay though. We've already learned that nothing is a guarantee to find in the ocean. And hey, we still have another fish farm to check. Upon entering the water at the second offshore fish farm, the area seemed empty at first, but in an instant, we were surrounded by life. These are triggerfish, and this big school of them made the short swim from the boat to the fish farm very beautiful. But as you approach the fish farm, the ominous chain leading down into the depths and the massive structure full of fish add an eerie tone to the environment, perfect for sharks. Hovering over this structure, you study its interesting design, but don't forget to keep checking your surroundings because sharks can come around quick. Look closely at this cylinder structure. If it looks like the inside is moving, it's because it is. This structure is full of fish. After a while of searching, for the second time, we could not find any sharks. But by feeling alone, you could tell they were out there. We did, however, find this group of fish fighting over a piece of food. This brings us to the end of our first deep ocean adventure. After entering the harbor in style on our Navy SEAL boat, we finally had time to reflect on the experiences we just got to have. Even though we didn't find sharks, this day on the water was a great example of the beauty and mystery of the ocean. So now we've explored what's off the coast of Kona from the shore, from a boat, and from underwater. Now it's time to explore it from the air. A helicopter flight is your ideal choice to get an aerial view of the Kona coast. And if you really want to feel cool, do it with the doors off. With this view, you see so much of the Big Island. You see from where the reefs drop off into the ocean, all the way up to where the clouds hide the rest of the elevation. From up here, you can see all the different patterns of rock and coral underwater that so many animals call home. Looking down at the island, you see so many shades of green leading all the way up into where the clouds cast their shadows. And on the other side, you have a beautiful view of the ocean with an angelic light shining down on it. Seeing where the reefs end and drop off into the ocean is truly an incredible sight from the air. And if you thought the reefs looked bright and colorful from in the water, then how about this view? There really is nothing quite like a bird's eye view of where the island meets the sea. And just like that, our helicopter flight was over. As you come in for landing, you have a sense of wonder for the beautiful place you're at. Speaking of beautiful, our next stops take us to Kua Bay and Two Step. Starting off with Kua Bay, this is a snorkeling spot full of rock and coral structures that have many nooks and crannies sea life likes to hide in. Like this sea slug, or this eel. With a mixture of rocks on the floor and the large structures around you, Kua Bay really gives you a unique snorkeling experience. Moving on to Two Step, this is a snorkeling spot famously known for its 2 steps into the ocean. Two Step, otherwise known as Hanaunau Bay, is a beautiful snorkel spot with clear water and colorful coral. While snorkeling here, you may even find the underwater aloha sign. During our time at Two Step, we were able to spot another little sea turtle and even found these 2 interesting looking cornet fish. If you want to explore the beautiful and detailed ecosystem of a coral reef, then Two Step is the place to go. Right next to Two Step is the Pu'uhonua Ahonaunau National Historical Park. What you're seeing here is what used to be a city of refuge in the time of old Hawaii, where Hawaiian lawbreakers would come to survive because punishment for violating the law was severe. With a nice path leading you on a scenic walk past pretty ponds, through the impressive walls of the refuge, and to the amazing huts, this place is definitely a fascinating sight right on the coast of Kona. Now, circling back to how we began this adventure, our search for one of the ocean's most playful and friendly creatures, the dolphin, continues. Kealakekua Bay was just the start of our search for these amazing and intelligent animals. This time around, however, started out very similar to our previous attempt, with no dolphins to be found. But that all changed at Kiholo Bay. It was finally time to get in the water with them, and let me tell you, it does not take long to figure out why they're called spinner dolphins. At first we didn't see much, but then the dolphins came to us. While swimming with the spinner dolphins, you see how playful and curious they are, and get to hear all the pretty clicks and squeaks they make to communicate. Like this lone dolphin who came up swimming spirals around me and talking to me. Or this pod of dolphins that was feeling playful. If you listen, it sounds like one of them gets out a full sentence. Interactions like this are very special, and dolphins make it even more interesting because of just how intelligent they are. And there it was. We had swam with dolphins, an experience that many rightfully describe as life-changing. But there is still more out there, and for our next dive, we'll be heading out into the ocean at night. It is here that we'll be searching for manta rays. Now, the process to finding these guys is simple. You get into the dark water at night, and then you begin shining bright lights into the depths to attract plankton. Manta rays are filter feeders, so plankton is their natural food source. And once the water starts to look full of plankton like it does here, the manta rays will take notice. It really is a nice trade. The humans attract the food, and the manta rays provide the show. And trust me, with all the graceful moves and flips the mantas do to swoop up their food, the show is just getting started. Like I've said before, there's a lot of beauty to be discovered amongst the mysteriousness of the ocean, and tonight's beauty was in the form of an underwater ballet. So now we're nearing the end of our Kona Coast exploration, and the things we have already seen have been nothing short of amazing. But we have one more adventure out into the deep blue to go on. Once again searching for anything we can find. And something felt special about today. After a while of searching, we saw something interesting going on at that second offshore fish farm. Fishermen were using a bait ball. The water was full of action. Fish were jumping, birds were swooping, and if we were gonna see sharks, now was the time, because you could feel their presence. As soon as we hit the water, we felt a very strong current sweeping us away from the boat. Fighting it was useless, so you had to swim as hard as you can, parallel to the floating fish farm. This way, the current would bring you past it, instead of pinning you against it. And while you're busy trying to fight the current and swim out of harm's way, do you remember what I said about sharks coming up quick? Those were oceanic white-tip sharks. You can tell by the white tips on their fins. And during this encounter, we had a few different ones swim by us, but it seems they found the bait ball a little more interesting than us. I can assure you that these sharks look cool, especially when you're in the water with them. And yeah, you should handle an interaction with sharks with caution. But sharks are beautiful and misunderstood creatures that definitely are not the monsters they are made out to be. Back on the boat, we were very satisfied with all we had seen in the ocean so far. But then we got word of sperm whales in the area. Not wanting to miss out on an opportunity to see them, we started searching, and it did not take long to find them. Sperm whales are amazing animals. They have the largest brains out of any animal on the planet, and in pure decibels, sperm whales are the loudest too. Sperm whales are very intelligent, and despite their massive size, they can be quite skittish. This is a theme we noticed very quickly, as our first two dives resulted in the whales diving down out of sight before we could even see them. You could, however, hear all their clicks. Upon our third dive, we were being as calm as possible in the water, trying not to scare the whales off. And for a while it was looking like we were not going to be able to get a good view of them. But then something truly special happened. The sperm whales got curious, stopped, and then came to us to swim by us and check us out. This is an experience I'll never forget. Being in the water with something so big, looking in its eye as it looks back at you, just as curious of you as you are of it, is unexplainably special. I can only imagine what those eyes have seen. And as we were told, having this kind of interaction with sperm whales does not happen every day. And it truly was the grand finale of our trip to have these animals initiate an interaction with us. And there you have it. We are at the end of our Big Island exploration, and it has been nothing short of incredible. From its sandy beaches and rocky coast to its bays and coral reefs, the Big Island of Hawaii is a place full of beauty and teeming with life. But it's what lies off the island's Kona coast that lets you explore the mysterious world of the ocean and discover its beauty. And with everything we saw, we've only scratched the surface of what's out there. Thank you everybody so much for joining me on an amazing adventure to see what the average person can experience off the coast of Kona.